Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough when it comes to recovery. What happens to the family after a loved one actually stops drinking? It turns out that's a whole journey in itself, with its own set of challenges, but also some pretty amazing opportunities for growth. So, the drinking has stopped. And yeah, there's this huge collective sigh of relief. But what we're exploring today is that this is really where a brand new chapter begins for everybody. The big question is, what does this new reality actually look like for the family? Let's dig in. The source material for this kicks off with this really powerful, kind of shocking observation from a doctor. The idea isn't just that one person was sick and is now getting better. No, it's that years of living in the chaos of alcoholism can actually make the entire family system unwell. And that really gets to the core message here. Sobriety isn't the finish line. It's the starting block for everyone. For years, the family has been operating under this incredible strain in what the text calls a highly strained, abnormal condition. And healing from that, well, that's its own journey. All right, so with that in mind, let's jump into our first section and see how this journey actually gets started. Because it really requires a total shift in how the family operates. The old way of doing things, well, it was basically a power struggle, right? The text describes it as everyone wanting to play the lead, trying to direct the family show to suit themselves. The new goal is to just stop, to leave that all behind and instead meet on this new common ground built on tolerance, on real understanding, and on love. But of course, that journey is not always a straight line. The next huge hurdle is managing everyone's expectations, especially that secret hope that everything will just magically snap back to normal. And this really highlights a critical point. The family, and it's totally understandable, they're longing for the good old days to come back, like yesterday. But the reality is that years of damage to finances, to trust, to relationships, what this guide calls the wreck, that stuff just can't be cleared away overnight. Rebuilding takes time. And this quote, man, this is the key mindset shift right here. The family's focus has to move away from measuring recovery by what they can see on the outside, like getting money back. Instead, the real measure of progress is the effort. It's the character. It's the person he is striving to become. So this brings us to one of the toughest, most sensitive parts of this whole process. How in the world do you deal with all those painful, embarrassing memories from the past? I mean, it's a completely natural instinct, isn't it? After all the humiliation and the pain, your first thought is just to forget it all ever happened. You just want to lock those skeletons in a closet, padlock the door, and throw away the key. But the text argues that this is actually a self-centered view, and it just doesn't work with this new way of living. So instead of hiding, it lays out this incredibly powerful three-step process. First, you have to face the past. You don't run from it. Second, you do the work to fix those errors wherever you possibly can. And third, and this is the part that changes everything, you actually convert those experiences into assets, using them to help other families who are still going through it. This quote just stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? The idea that the most painful, shameful parts of your family's story could become your single greatest asset, that is a radical thought. It's the key to finding real meaning in all that suffering and turning it into a source of hope for other people. Okay, so even as the family is healing, you gotta know that new challenges are gonna pop up. The person in recovery is changing too, and sometimes, well, they can swing to some pretty new extremes. And two common patterns tend to emerge. On one hand, you might get the frantic workaholic, the person who just throws themselves into their job to make up for lost time, but ends up neglecting the family again. On the other hand, you can get the spiritual enthusiast, the person who becomes so consumed by their new spiritual life that they seem to forget about everything else. In both cases, the family can feel disappointed, neglected, even resentful. The best response, as this guide suggests, is patience and understanding, realizing these are often just phases in a very long recovery. And this all points to one crucial reminder for everybody involved. Real, lasting financial and material recovery, it always follows genuine spiritual progress. It never, ever comes before it. You have to get the foundation right first. You can't just build a new life on that same old shaky ground. All right, this brings us to our final section, the practical, hands-on principles for actively building this new, healthier family life together. The absolute heart of it all comes down to this one shift in perspective. The whole family starts to move from a mindset of what's in it for me or what am I getting to what can I give? This simple change from getting to giving, well, that becomes the new guiding principle for pretty much everything. And to make this idea something you can actually use every single day, this guide offers 3 incredibly simple but powerful mottos to live by. Let's take a quick look at each one. The first one is first things first, and it's all about priorities. It's a constant reminder that sobriety and the spiritual health of the family have to come before anything and everything else. Before money worries, before what the neighbors think, before little disagreements. You just have to keep the main thing the main thing. Second is live and let live. This is basically tolerance in a nutshell. It means letting go of that deep-seated need to control each other, to nag, or to judge. It's about respecting that everyone is on their own journey, especially when it's so easy to fall back into those old habits of criticism and resentment. And finally, easy does it. This is just a call for patience, for gentleness. Recovery is a marathon, not a sprint. This motto is a reminder to not try and rush the process, not demand perfection from anyone, and to just be kind to yourselves and to each other as you figure all this new stuff out. In other words, don't go looking for misery. Easy does it. Which brings us right back around to this central, powerful question. The entire journey we've talked about here is about this incredible transformation. It suggests that by facing the past, by embracing these new principles, and by focusing on giving, a family can turn its deepest wounds into a profound source of strength and wisdom, not just for themselves, but for everyone they meet. It really leaves us with a powerful idea to think about. What if our deepest wounds are truly the source of our greatest strength?